Are you saying you faked with me?
Yeah.
Wrong. Now you're single.
What do you know about sexual relations?
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
You're listening to the Come With Us podcast, talking the good, the kinky, and the ugly. Here are your hosts, Beth, Aaron, and Tina.
Hello, 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 all you sexy holes and poles. Oh my goodness, welcome to Come With Us podcast, where you are part of all the fun, naughty, sexy conversations everyone wants to listen in on, especially this one. I am so excited because actually this is my first time interviewing, I hope it's okay, I call it a porn star. I know adult film industry performer, etc. We'll talk about what the appropriate language is, but it's very, very exciting. So I'm Beth Darling, Sexy Genius, founder of sexyedschool.com. And that's where smart, successful, even spiritual people go for their graduate degree in love. Sorry, I'm like so excited. I've got so many questions to talk to Holly, the Hotwife, Holly Hotwife, right? On Facebook. Correct. Welcome, welcome. Aaron is here. Tina, unfortunately, is out sick today, so she's missing out on the fun, but I know it's too bad because she would have, she was very excited about this too. We've been waiting for weeks now for this interview, right?
Yeah,
right,
we've
Aaron?
been working on setting this up. A friend of a friend of a friend got in contact with me and said, "Hey, you know who Holly Hotwife is?" I was like, "I've heard the name. Why?" And like, because that's a weird thing when like a buddy, like I'm not that open with anybody in my life. Like to have a friend of mine go, "Hey, do you know who this porn star is?" And be like, "Yeah, so like," and so I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Well, I'm friends with her, and if you want to interview her, just let me know, and I'll set it up." And so then I got in contact with you. You were excited about it because we've reached out to several other adult film stars who have been like, too busy," or I don't want to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're so excited. Okay. And by the way, y'all, if you are listening to the podcast, I promise you are going to want to go watch the YouTube on this because Holly Hotwife is hot. Tall, blonde, buxom, thin, beautiful, personable, a great smile, incredible blue eyes. I'm not really into women and stuff, but I would totally have a girl crush. And yes, it takes everything I have to be like, "Ooh, beautiful woman. I still like her. I'm not threatened by her," right? It takes a lot of work and effort, but so give me credit for being here with this gorgeous young, yeah. So, all right, welcome. I'm so excited. And let's see, you are Houston local, right? Okay. Now what's the appropriate term? What's the title that you like? Because I don't mean to be insulting. I just never know exactly.
Adult film star, porn star. Because I've been doing it for over 5 years. And I've been in mainstream production. Either one of those is fine. Okay. I'm also an amateur porn star, which is really my main focus because that's what brings me pleasure and joy is the not acting part.
Okay. So tell us about that distinction from your standpoint, the amateur porn versus the acting porn.
So in amateur, there's no script. You get to choose who you work with, who you play with. It's up to the individual. It's more spontaneous. It's in the moment. It's organic. A mainstream production such as Brazzers or Blacked, and those are all fun and great. Yeah. But you normally don't get to choose who you work with. They give you your script about 3 days before. They fly you out and all put you up in a hotel and all that, and all that's great.
Do you have to learn a bunch of lines? I know this is silly, but porn.
How long is an actual script for a porn?
So it's not that long, but the production, like the all day event, is about 8 to 9 hours long
to film one.
Film one, and it's about a 20 to 30 minute scene. So sometimes it might be a little bit longer depending how many people are involved.
Okay,
so.
I just want people to understand that, right? Because again, porn is often the only sex education that people get, besides junior high, A goes into B and then, whatever.
Right. Or from their friends.
Yeah, right. So, but 8 or 9 hours of filming to get cut down into 20 or 30 minutes.
Yes.
So that should be pretty, give everybody a clue that the sexy
It's
that you're
work.
seeing is not
It's work.
Oh yeah.
natural, if you will, right? It's staged. It's all staged.
right.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever brought this up. So I interviewed, let's see, 6 or 7 porn stars one time for one of the old radio stations I used to work for. And yeah, that was one of the things that, like, one of the final questions I would always ask them is like, hey, what do you want average? Like, I said it this way and we didn't air, or like I had to bleep it out on the air at time. I said, what do you want to know average Joe jerking off? What is one thing you want him to know about your career and everything like that? And like, I think 3 of the 5 were like, yeah, that 30-minute video, if they make it all the way through all 30 minutes, it took me an 11.5-hour day to get it done. So like, while they'll work like 7, maybe 8 hours a day at their regular 9-to-5 job. Yeah, no, I got there at 5 a.m. I had to eat breakfast on the way, and I couldn't eat too much breakfast because I couldn't be bloated for it.
Oh,
and then, and she was, and like one of them was like, yeah, and I sweat a lot. So like we had to break every 20 minutes because I have to completely clean up, redo makeup and everything like that because I get really sweaty when I have sex. And I was like,
And the hair and makeup artists stay there throughout the whole day because, if you get, fluids on you, then, or lube in your hair, or, then they stay there and, have to, it's kind of like a stop, start throughout the whole entire thing. So,
oh my goodness.
It's that's
so anybody who wants to critique my video editing, yes, I'm not porn star video editing level good.
There you go. Okay.
If you're watching on YouTube.
Okay. So amateur porn though, is it, you still decide, okay, we're going to go and film this, right? But then do you stop and start it, or does it just sort of
sometimes
flow?
Stop and start. So because it is spontaneous and organic, if the person needs to shower up real quick, if they've been working all day or whatever the case may be, that can happen. If they can't get hard and they need a few minutes to do that, or if they are, under some pressure, they've never filmed before, it might take a little bit longer for them to, be ready to perform. Sometimes, sometimes I need a minute, for no special reasons, but there's some stopping and starting, but it's not an 8-hour day. It could be, the film that we make could be 7 minutes to, 30 to 55 minutes. I usually don't do more than an hour, just because, I don't know, I'm 40. Okay. An hour.
But so even when people watch amateur porn, don't think that that's just one ongoing session.
It can be. There are some. Because
but it may
amateur,
or may not be.
If it's organic and you're hot and heavy in the moment, there's no stopping. There's no stopping.
Okay.
There can be in the instances I have this thing with smells. If you have any body odor or stinky feet, please go wash up. And I won't know that until you take your shoes off, or your pants off or your shirt off, and I smell your underarms.
So I just, again, for people just watching and stuff, so just heads up that it may or it may not be. So
Correct.
don't just think, oh, this is absolute. So,
right.
Okay. All right. Just FYI,
whenever you watch what the film that I just made, you can tell if it's been stopped and started. You just watch if there's a cut in it, if it skips over to something else. There was a cut for some reason, and it could have been because I had to go pee. Who knows?
Right.
But there are some where they're 55 minutes long and there are no breaks, and everything was spot on, fantastic, perfect. So
okay.
So when you said if they've gotten off of work, so when you say amateur porn, you're talking real amateurs, people just everyday dudes,
right?
Or
everyday
women that
dudes.
You've just met. How do you meet them? Or how do you find people like this?
So because me and my husband are in the lifestyle, there's a lot of people who also do OnlyFans and porn and work, but there are also strangers. I call them strangers, and what I like to do, how I like to please, is I like to find average Joe guys that don't really get the cut up muscly guys that get all the pussy out. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, you can say whatever you want.
that get all the pussy all the time. That's not who I'm attracted to them. Of course, they're cute, but I don't want to get them laid. I want to get the average Joe laid because I want to make his week, his month, his year, his life. Who knows? So
I love that.
I can pick them up at a bar.
Porn star with heart. That's
Well,
it. That's our title. Porn star with heart.
It's
That's
what gets
awesome.
me off. You know,
Yeah.
that pleases me, and may be selfish, but in turn pleases them. You
Right.
know.
I love that.
And I'm not saying I've never, had sex with a really hot specimen of a dude or a woman. That's not the case. I have, but the strangers I'm seeking out could be at a bar, at a club, in the lifestyle, somebody that I've just met.
So if our audience members want to audition or send in, how do they reach
I do
you?
a fuck a fan. At pretty much every
love that.
city that I go visit on my Twitter, which is at Holly Hotwife. About 3 days to a week before I visit a city, I will post I'm about to be in that city, and I'll have my schedule of things that I'm going to do. It's usually very busy. I hardly have any time to play or vacation or go sightseeing, whatever. It's mostly work.
Yeah.
But what I like to do is keep one evening open for fuck a fan, and so I post where I'm going to be. Say I'm going to Tiki Hut Bar and Grill. Oh goodness, lightning!
Yeah, it's crazy outside.
Tiki Hut Bar and Grill at 7:00. If you're a fan, please come up and spend some time with me. I like to meet people, get there. I like energies. I'm attracted to energies.
Yeah.
And intelligence.
Yes. That's
and
safe
respect.
sexual.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so I like to meet them. I like to take pictures with them. They make me feel, so I don't know.
If they light you up, yes.
And I make them feel special for that time. I love to sit and talk and hear their backgrounds and just speak with them. And so if we get there at 7, at about 9 or 10 o'clock, I drink beer. So we're getting our inhibitions down for a couple hours. At about 9 or 10 o'clock, I'll snag 4 or 5 of them and ask them with my husband or a bodyguard or whatever.
Yeah.
Ask them if they'd like to go to a near hotel and go have some fun. And that's what we do.
Oh my God,
That's
4
fuck a
or
fan.
5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So is it one at a time or is it all kind of at
Depends
once?
on what they want. It all depends on what they want. Some will stay outside because if one of them doesn't want to be viewed by another person in the room, then I'll ask for them to step outside. Some love group play, and they want to watch. Some are exhibitions, some are voyeurs. I've had a couple of guys just stand in the corner and jerk off the whole time just because they wanted to see it.
Wow.
And they didn't want to be involved. And it's not like they had a little tiny pecker or anything.
Right.
It's like that's what got them off.
Right.
So it
People
just depends.
each have their own
yeah.
thing. So do you film those?
If they want to be filmed, yes. I ask before we leave because I want this to be filmed because that also brings
That's what I was thinking is
that also brings in, oh my God, Holly Hotwife actually fucks her fans,
Wow.
but there's proof of it, and if I didn't film it, then there would be no proof and everybody would be like, yeah, she's just talking out of her ass. So I ask that they do. If they don't want to, but I really like that person, then I won't film. I won't make them film,
Wow.
And of course you have to get model release forms and consent and all of that stuff. So
Because then once you film with them, then you can sell that, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yes. As long as you get your consent forms
Right.
intact. Yeah.
Oh
So.
my gosh. Okay. Can you imagine just going to a bar and being like, hey, 4 or 5 women come on and your wife being okay? I mean, it's pretty wild.
Like, wait a minute, like having my wife just go and wrangle up 4 or 5 dudes?
No, if your wife
me
was there,
personally?
yeah, and she was like, sure, Aaron, grab a couple, 4 or 5, however many you want.
The idea of
wow.
more than probably one woman in this world actually wanting to put up with me for sex is a foreign concept to me as it is. So no, I could not imagine 4 or 5ve women vying for my attention and my affection.
It would
a
be
little
a
overwhelming
dream
at
come
times.
true.
I mean, like, I don't know, like,
It can be a little overwhelming at times. If more than like 15 show up, I'm like,
but even if I were like a
Wow.
single dude and I don't know if I'd have the balls to just show up and like even if I were single and you said, hey, I'm coming to Houston and I'll be at bar XYZ, I think I'd be like, oh, I like the idea of that. But then all of a sudden I would get in my car and I'd be like, holy shit, like, have I thought this through? Because I overthink things,
Yeah.
but I also I think everything all the way through. I think
Right.
of every scenario that could possibly happen from start to back.
And he focuses on the negative.
Right.
Let's just be clear.
I focus on the negative, but I also focus on the I like to know what the positive could be. And so like my brain, like if I'm putting myself in this right now, I would be sitting in my car and I would be sitting with the engine on, and I would turn off the radio for a second so I could think, and I would go, okay, what's the best part?
What's the upside?
I could bang a really, really hot woman that like, holy shit. But then like one of the many thousands of bad things that could happen is like, what if it's a setup and they kill me?
Right.
Oh my God.
Like what
Take
if
your kidney?
Or what if they blackmail me? Or what if like or
gosh.
just the fact that like, what if I get there and I can't get it up? Or what if I get there and like, oh,
Yeah,
well, I'm not the
that's
most
what I
attractive
think.
guy. Like, well, my video would be like, what if I get there and I'm not the most attractive guy and I don't get picked? Then my ego's hurt that even a porn star doesn't want to fuck me. How horrible am I of a human? And so then I would probably sit there for about 45 minutes trying to talk myself in or out of it, and finally turn off my car, go back inside, and then just go, all right, I'm just going to drink beer and watch sports.
And then you see Holly Hotwife walking out. Oh, we're done. Sorry.
I love it.
I'm pretty much a worrywart too. I have I say a tad bit of social anxiety.
That's really funny to hear from a porn star, right? That's just like, oh, okay.
That's what a lot of people say is that I would never know that. Like I can't tell. Like even my really close friends, it's all in my head. And outwardly I may not show it, but in here my mind is going like the alarms are really like wah, wah, wah. And it's not so much it's all the bad things that could happen, or all of the what if I'm not good enough, all of the insecurity things, just everything that you described. I get that too. That's why I drink like 6 beers before. I do not drink liquor or wine, but I love beer, and it loosens my inhibitions right before.
But doesn't it make you like fart and gassy and stuff?
It does that. Well, so it makes me burp. It does make me burp.
Okay. I'd be so worried about farting in the middle of something.
It's one of those
enigmas.
There you go. I can't say it. You say it.
That's okay.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
Because all of my friends, they're like, I don't understand. How do you not get bloated and gassy?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I've always been able to drink beer and I burp a lot. That's it. But it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't do that for me.
That's so funny.
I mean, it might make me full if I drink like 12 beers before like a meal. And I won't eat that much that I was normally going to eat, but it's not often that I drink 12 beers before I'm going to go eat some food. So
no, I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I understand that. Because like I've normally I'm not shot. Like I can go out and I can do an appearance, or I can show up and meet people, and I'll sit at a bar and I'll make friends with everybody in that bar. But in the back of my mind, there's also a little voice that just I have to eventually turn off.
Yeah.
That is like, okay, like overthinks everything, is nervous and shy, and everybody goes, "Oh, you work in radio. You're always on the air. You always meet people. Like, how does that not bother you?" And it's like, "Oh, it bothers me.
It bothers me." Yeah.
Eventually, I go to sleep at night, and I have some weird, unique ability where I can just shut everything off and go, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Day's gone. Can't change it. Got to go on tomorrow.
Right.
So like it's not probably nearly as bad as what your brain is going through, but like that
many years of therapy and coping skills that I've had throughout my years of being in the social spotlight. Pretty much sometimes I'll have a tissue in my hand and no one will even know. It could be a bar napkin, and I'll just sit there and just kind of crinkle it in my hands, and nobody notices it, but it's a fidget.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm focusing on this, but it's that I'm not focusing on anything. So I'm doing this, I can talk to a person, and it kind of relieves some tension, so to speak. And that's just one of them. It's one of the coping skills.
Okay. So I like this. So can we start with how you got into this? Is that cool, Aaron? Again, we've got so much. So, and just FYI, we already know this is going to be part 1. So y'all are going to have to stay tuned because we're going to go through. So, okay. So Holly, how did you find your way into porn? Like, how do you just wake up one day and go, oh my God, right? I want to go be naked and have people film me having sex?
So as a younger girl at 15, I was a model. whenever I moved, I'm originally from Louisiana. I moved here whenever I was 15. My mom was here working at a plant, and I was living with my dad in Louisiana. I moved here with my mom, and I got like scouted out at the Galleria.
Because how tall are you? You have to tell
I'm
me.
only 5'10", but I was 5'11" before kids.
Okay. Yeah.
So
5'11", blonde hair,
blonde hair. Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Thin,
tall,
always
thin. Yeah.
leggy.
And,
Yes.
but I was always a bit risky, promiscuous, very sexually free. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 15. And we can go into that discussion another time. But stick on the path that we're on. So I started modeling. And it was only, fashion and glamour. But I always I was wearing the crop tops and, spaghetti
So you were
straps
exposing yourself and using your body. Okay.
Right. And it wasn't necessarily in a sexual way. I never used modeling as in any sexual way. It was glamour and fashion. No swimsuits, no lingerie, none of that.
Okay.
But I was used to my body doing the work, or my face or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, throughout high school, I did that. I got pregnant at 18. Whenever I graduated high school, I was 4 months pregnant and became a mom and got married and was married for 10 years, stopped modeling during that process, because, you're fat and pregnant. So stopped all of that. And then at 28, I got a divorce and kind of not really got back into modeling, but was just kind of dipping my toe, seeing what was out there just for extra money. And a couple of years had gone by and I met my now husband, Vincent, who was like, he knew the people that I needed to get in touch with to get back into modeling. And this time it was, more lingerie, swimsuit, fitness, erotic. That the erotic took a little bit to get back or to get into because my self-esteem from my previous marriage had been just like really, really low and just not good. But I did, have my breast augmentation done and I was starting to feel better about myself. And
so let me just, if I can, from your divorce, your self-esteem plummeted, but you still felt okay modeling in swimsuits and lingerie.
After I met my now husband, my now husband has he grew me. He grew me back into what I was before. Okay. Somehow his support, his love, he made me feel like a queen. And so then got into modeling and then a little bit more risque stuff, the erotic, the nude, nude art. And then, toys were brought in and, fingers and things like that. But then at
that point, were you doing this for like some other production company? Because I know you have one now.
Independently,
so
side
you guys
hustle,
started
making my money. I was just charging photographers for their portfolio. Like if they needed, a set of, swimsuit or erotic or whatever, I'd say, $250 an hour. And I would just make some money off of that.
Okay.
Well, then my husband was, he's a little freaky deaky and he wanted me to like really dip my toe in a little bit more. And he wanted me to start webcamming. Actually, hang on. Let me back this up just a tad. So Tumblr days, y'all remember Tumblr?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So me and my husband were on Tumblr for a while whenever we first started dating. And we both had office sales jobs at this time. And we kind of created a following by our fans would dare. My husband would ask for the fans to send a dare or two in a day for me to, like a sexy dare.
Wow.
For me to do throughout the day, like go flirt with your boss in the stairwell, or take your panties off in your cubicle and take a picture of them, or just easy stuff like that. And we gained a huge following by doing that. And then was
this fun for you?
It was. Oh my gosh, it was.
That's what I think
because
people
that
miss.
promiscuous young teenager like came back out, and was like, I want to do like sexually free stuff. I'm kind of a hippie at heart. I like burned the bra years ago.
Wow.
I think sexual freedom is like a very important part of a human being, and the healthy part is to be able to express it in a healthy way. If it's not a healthy way, of course, that's bad, but in a healthy way. And for us, because this is what gets him and I off at the end of the day, whenever we go back home to each other after our jobs, we're, fucking like rabbits. Cause all throughout the day, I've been teasing him with these, these naughty things that I'm doing. So then he was like, well, have you ever heard of webcamming? I'm like, nope, never heard of it. What is it? And so he showed me a couple of girls doing webcamming, and he's like, you just sit in your house, these people pay you to, take your clothes off, talk to them. It's just like sitting at a bar. And I'd sit there and, get my little cooler of, 12-pack of beers and sit there and have the screen right in front of me. And people would tip me just to talk to them, to take my clothes off, to touch my breast, to put my boobies in the, in the camera, like finger myself, do all of the, play with the toy, whatever it was. And I made such good money with that. I was like, wow, I never knew this existed. And so I'm still modeling. We're still doing the Tumblr stuff, start webcamming. And then my husband reaches out to, I don't even know who it was at this point in time because it was years ago. But he reaches out to someone. Oh, I remember. It's our friend George. George is he makes commercials. He's a very he might be well known now, but he does commercials and production, documentaries and stuff like that. And but he's also in the lifestyle. And my husband wanted us to make him and I to make a porn together, just for just for us to have. And whenever we made it, and our friend was very, very skilled in this. I'm trying to think of what it was called, because I'd like to name drop it on here. I'll think of it in a second. But anyway, it was our first porn, and it was so hot. My husband was like, dude, we could get paid for this too. And I'm like, let's do it. So we just started making our own amateur videos and gained a very big following on that. And then and
let me interrupt for 1 second, only because so your husband though wasn't in the porn.
No.
Okay. But
no, he was in that one. It was me and him made a movie.
Okay.
The production, our friend George, filmed it all.
Gotcha.
George was actually in it as well at the very end, because he was like the third. You'd have to see it to understand it. But the porn was just for him and I to do, and for our viewing pleasure. But because it was so good and it was so hot, my husband was like, we can make some really good money off of this.
Okay.
So,
and I know I don't want you to have to speak for him, but generally he already liked the idea of being with other people.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this was kind of a kink for him, a turn on, not just, and again, not just business.
For that, we'd have to go back to our first date for y'all to understand the dynamic of him sharing me with other people. So, yeah.
Come on, we want to hear this first date. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Did we get through how we got into porn? Is that good? That's a start.
That's
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get a sip of water.
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking a first date and sharing somebody. Okay. So do tell. And how did you meet?
Okay. So, one night I was meeting it's a couple friend, a man and a woman. I was meeting my friends at a bar, and it was like out on the water over in like the Clear Lake area. And before I knew him, my husband, he's a boater. So he had his boat, and my friends were on his boat. And so they were coming to meet me on his boat. He didn't know that they were coming to meet me. They just said, we're going to meet a friend. And, so whenever he, docked the boat and they all came up to the bar, they were like, oh, this is our friend
Holly Hotwife.
Holly Hotwife, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
not her real name.
And he was
FYI,
like, he acted so totally cool. He was there for maybe 10 minutes. We said a couple of little introductory, statements to each other, but I was mostly there for that couple because I was actually going home to fuck them and be their third for the night. And that's kind of what I was doing on my single off time, was fucking my friends, because I made a vow to myself not to date for a year.
I like it. So not dating for a year, but fucking your friends was okay.
Fucking my friends was okay, because I'm not bringing them home. I'm not introducing them to my kids. I'm not starting a relationship with them.
Right. The boundaries are set from the beginning.
Exactly. Okay. So anyway, that was our first meeting, but not date. A few months had gone by. I was like 6 months. So my year.
Were you totally attracted to him?
I was, yeah. And so what I didn't know was he had seen me on Facebook before this and knew who I was, but really wanted to meet me, but never had, and didn't know that we had mutual friends in common. So he had been lusting after me for a while.
Oh, I like that.
So, and I was very attracted to him whenever we met that first time. So then about 6 months had gone by. I connected with him on LinkedIn for work purposes only. He was in the steel industry, and I was working for a tax credit firm at the time, and I wanted his R&D tax credits. And so we started talking on LinkedIn. I think maybe a month or so goes by. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard of this, but the Outlaw Poker Challenge down in the Kemah area, it's a boat poker run.
No.
It's like 3 or 4 days, Thursday through Sunday. It's just a big boating event.
Fun.
I've never been around boats. You know, I've been on like little fishing boats and like, you know, Lake Kentucky and like ponds, you know, in Louisiana. That's about it.
Yeah.
But he invited me to, at the very last minute, I think it was like on a Tuesday, and the event started on Thursday. And on LinkedIn, he invited me to the 4-day date, Thursday through Sunday. And he specifically said, if you're going to come on the boat, you know, please make sure you're going to be there the whole time. For various reasons. It's hard to, I have to be dropped off at this time. I have to be dropped off.
Right.
You're on a boat. Be on the boat. You
Okay.
know? So I had to basically
So your first date is 4 days?
commit to a 4-day date.
Wow.
And I'm like,
wow.
all right, let's see. So he puts me on this group chat that is for the Outlaw Poker Challenge. And I'm on the group chat, and all of these people are very sexually free. And I'm like, this kind of sounds like, and I know like maybe 3 or 4 of them. And it's a group of like 30 or so people. And very sexually free on the group chat. Everybody's, you know, just having the time of their lives. I'm like, you know what? This actually sounds really fun. And he's got referrals, you know, he knows my friends. I've asked around, you know, he seems like a cool guy. So I said, you know what? I live, you know, at that time I lived in Friendswood. I said, I'm only a few miles away. You know, if I don't like it at some point, I can just get up and leave. Like, it's okay. Yeah. And he gave me that option. He said, I'd really like you to stay for the 4 days. That way I'm not having to, you know, drop you off, pick you up, all of that. Right. We can be in the contest and all of that stuff. And so I committed to the 4-day date. I go up to we meet at a hotel because he's got his boat on a trailer. He's driving like this big Hummer, and you know, he's a tall walking man. He's only 5'6.5", but he's got some stature about him. You know, he's I call him like a peacock or a rooster, because I mean he thinks he's the shit, and he is.
That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah, so I already liked his vibe, you know, that he's given off. And
so then you're on the boat and it's poker. How do you get into sharing?
Hang on one second. So before I go up, because I've got luggage and stuff, you know, and this is the first night. The first night, Thursday, is the street party night. So I've got to go put all my luggage up in this hotel room. And he goes, oh, by the way, we're staying with this other couple in this room. I'm like, well, you didn't tell me that. It's okay. Let me go meet them. So I stopped in the parking lot. I've got my luggage. I'm like, hang on, before we go up, I just want to like French kiss you and see if we have any like chemistry at all. And he was like, okay. And he's a little nervous.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So like in the valet area, there's like this little circle concrete bench. Sat down. We kissed. He tasted like Red Bull, which I hate, but we had a great chemistry. So funny. We had a great chemistry. And I was like, okay, at least there's chemistry there, you know, but he was sober. So he doesn't drink. So, that was also a green sign for me, not, you know, which I drink, but not to, you know, extents to get all freaked out. But anyway, so we go up to the hotel room, and I meet this couple, cool as hell, like just amazing, like energy, just cool people. So at this point, I'm all in, you know, I'm all in. And so we get, you know, to the street party. We have a lot of fun. We go back to the hotel. I think we only stayed at the street party for like 3 hours. And then we go back to the hotel, and we end up having a foursome that night with this couple. And it just kind of like happened. They had like sex toys and lingerie, and she was like, here, you want to put this on? And I'm like, sure. You know, I'm coming from, you know, modeling and doing, you know, I'm getting my sexual freedom back, you know? And so I just thought, shit, why not? You know, I have chemistry with these two people and him, and he seems to have no like qualms about it. Awesome. He's like, yeah, go for it. So
it's so funny, because in my head, I'm not actually even worried about the sex with this couple and stuff. I'm going, but I don't want to sleep all night because I snore. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to be good. This is all I'm thinking about is the lack of sleep. And then I'm going to have to stay up all night so I don't disturb everybody. I'm sure you're thinking about sex with other people.
I mean, I'd be thinking about how nervous I would be and be like, does anybody need ice or drinks? I'll just go to do that. Y'all have fun. I'll be back with refreshments later.
I was so in the moment and having such a good time with Vincent and this other couple. Like, there was no insecurities. They made me feel so welcome and just fun. It was just so much fun. And so that the next morning, whenever we woke up, he was like, so did you have a good time? And I was like, I had a great time. I was like, if we date, can we do this all the time? And he goes, gosh. I like it if you like it. I'm like, awesome.
Wow. I love that you actually asked for what you wanted. That's so huge.
I mean, wow. Communication is key to me. I'm a very blunt and forward person. I'm a horrible liar. You can tell on my face. Like, if I'm uncomfortable with something, you can definitely tell. So lying is just like, there's no point in it.
Yeah.
But I also want verbally things to be spoken, because through text or things like that, or just by assuming things can be taken out of context, or you assume something and it's not the case. Yeah. I think verbal communication is key in most things in life. So
I say people all the time talk about how important communication is, and it is. But really what underlies that is that you have to know what you want, and then you have to be willing to actually communicate it. And that's the part I give you such kudos, because I think there are so many, particularly women, we've been so shamed for everything, all of our sexuality.
Right.
I can't imagine on a first date being like, oh, I want to keep doing this sexually and stuff. I think that's amazing. And I'm very impressed, and it bodes well for then your future life and sexy.
Yeah.
So,
and give props to my husband too, because I mean, I don't know if he I don't think he'll ever tell if he set that up on purpose or not, but it worked. And
okay, we'll have to ask him that if he comes on, because I really would. I'd love to hear his perspective and stuff. I think that'd be awesome.
He wants to,
that'll be great. All right. I think we've got to kind of wrap
up. Let's cut it here, and we'll do another whole episode next week, because there's so much. I mean, you have about 4 pages of questions and stuff.
There's a lot to go through.
I know. It's so interesting to meet somebody who just, again, who you're well-spoken, you're interesting, you're insightful, introspective, and has lived a totally different life than what I've done, I think, right? It's just, it's really cool. So, okay. So thank you. So Holly Hotwife, tell people again, Holly Hotwife at Twitter. Tell them your Twitter
handle.
The best
place to find all of my links is going to be on Twitter at Holly Hotwife. There are a couple of imposters, so make sure it doesn't have any numbers at the end or any letters, no X's or anything like that. It is at Holly Hotwife. That is it. And then you just go to the link tree, and it'll give you all of the links. I also wanted to give a shout out to Sports Map Elite, also on Twitter. So at Sports Map Elite. I do a porn star pick of the week on Fridays, every Friday. And it's just a little blip. It's like a minute-long video, but you need to check that out if you're into any kind of sports gambling, or just into sports, or into porn,
or into Holly Hotwife. Because I'm pretty much a fan right now of Holly Hotwife, I have to say. Okay,
and then what else? onlyfans.com/Holly Hotwife, and I guess that's really about it. Yeah, you can find everything else. I do not have Instagram. I've been kicked off so many times. But it's mostly because I have imposters trying to be me. And then everybody just they're like, you prove to be you prove to be you, and nobody can prove to be anyone. So we all just get kicked off. So anyway, that's about that. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So again, at Holly Hotwife on Twitter, and then you can find her link tree and find everything else, because you're definitely going to want to follow her. So this is awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Aaron. And then we will wrap up, but we'll be back with part 2, and we'll go more into what it's like to be a porn star, and I don't know, body image, all these things I've got. So
lots of stuff.
So, okay. Well, thank you, everyone. So glad that you're here for Come With Us podcast, for the bare naked truth about love, sex, relationships, and porn stars at this point. So I'm Beth Darling, Sexy Genius. You can go to BethDarling.com or sexyedschool.com. Find me. And Aaron, thank you so much. And again, Tina, we miss having you here, but hopefully she'll be better. at
Yeah,
some
she's
point
got to get
soon.
on the
So,
mend.
yeah. So
There you go. Just drop off a pallet of vitamin C at her.
yeah, she needs it. I swear
place.
it's been a rough time.
Yeah.
So all right, cool. Big hugs and love to everybody, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Come With Us podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at Come With Us Podcast and send in your questions, comments, and confessions to comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. Until next time, keep it fun, flirty, and naughty.